Hi, today we're going to talk about simplifying expressions with negative exponents. So really there's two different things you have to watch out for. If a negative exponent is in the numerator, like the example here on the left-hand side, we simply move the power, so this part that's circled, k to the negative 1, we move that down to the denominator and make the exponent positive. So think of the fraction bar as being where you flip the exponent from being positive to negative or negative to positive if you move the entire power to the other side. Now, if the negative exponent is in the denominator and we want to make it positive, what we have to do is take that power, that part, and we have to move it up to the numerator, and then we change that to a positive. So in each case, what we would end up with on the left-hand side, so if it's a positive exponent, we leave it where it's at. So h to the third power is going to stay there. The 6 stays there. The m squared stays in the denominator. But now this k to the negative 1 gets moved down to the denominator. And when we do that, we change it to be a positive 1 exponent. And anything to the first power is itself, so I don't need to put the 1 there. Now on the second example on the right-hand side, we have s to the fifth power in the numerator, and the only thing that was in the denominator was t to the negative 12th power. So to make that a power with a positive exponent, we are going to move it up to the numerator portion. And then really what's left behind, since there's nothing else there, it's just that invisible 1. Okay, so if you're kind of wondering like, well, where'd the denominator go? It's really just a 1, and anything divided by 1 is itself. So we would not need to draw the divided by 1 part. Okay, so it's just that everything is in the numerator in that case. So let's take a look at a few more and go through these together. We have 4 examples for you. In the first one, we have 3 times y to the negative second power. Okay, and you might be thinking, well, is that in the numerator or is that in the denominator? So remember, anything, whether it's just a number or an expression like this, can be turned into a fraction by putting a 1 underneath it. Okay, so if you need to see it visually as a fraction, just draw it in there. Now, we do have to keep in mind that the numerator has 2 different parts to it. It has the 3 and it has the y to the negative second power. Okay, it's not 3y raised to the negative second power. It's just the y that's raised to the negative second power, and then the 3 is out in front of it. So when we try to move things around, whether it's up or down, or in this case, down to the denominator, we're only moving the y. Okay, we are not moving the 3. So this is going to end up becoming, let's see, the 3 is going to stay in the numerator, and then the y to the negative second power, we move to the denominator, and we make the exponent positive. And you might be wondering, well, where'd that 1 go? And it's there, 1 times y squared, but remember, anything times 1 is itself, so we really don't even need that 1 there. So to simplify, it would be 3 over y to the negative second power. Here's number 2. This time we have negative 4 over k to the negative 4th power. Now we have to be careful. That negative 4 in the numerator right here, that's not an exponent. Okay, that's just a regular number, a negative number. It's like negative 4 to the 1st power. So the only thing that we really need to move is the k to the negative 4th power. And because it's in the denominator, we are going to move it up to the numerator. So the negative 4 is still in the numerator. And then we have k to the positive 4th power is also in the numerator. And then since there was nothing else in the denominator, it's really that invisible 1 that's left behind. Anything divided by 1 is itself. Our final answer here is just negative 4 times k to the 4th power. Our third example, this time we have 2 different expressions, or 2 different variables raised to a negative exponent. So in this case, we're going to actually move both of them. So g to the negative 3rd power is in the numerator. We are going to end up moving that down to the denominator and making it a positive exponent. H to the negative 6th power is in the denominator right now. So if we want to make that exponent positive, we have to move that up to the numerator. So basically, they're just going to flip and they're going to change places. So what it's going to look like is we have our fraction bar. We're going to move the g to the denominator and make the exponent positive, and we move h to the numerator and make that exponent positive. So h to the 6th power divided by g to the 3rd power is our final answer. So both variables had negative exponents, so we exchange and move both of them. Finally, number 4. We're checking to see which of these have negative exponents, and we see there are 2. We have x to the negative 3rd power. We will need to move to the denominator. We also have b to the negative 2nd power. We will need to move that up to the numerator. And we also have a to the 0 power, which can be simplified. And we'll get to that in just a moment. So let's start by moving. Here's our fraction bar. We said we were going to move x to the denominator, and we are going to make it a positive exponent instead, because when you move it, it changes. The b is going to move to the numerator, and we make the exponent positive. Now, what about that a to the 0 power? We have to kind of go back and think about what's anything to the power of 0. And as we talked about in our lesson on Wednesday, anything to the power of 0 is 1. So a to the 0 has a value of 1. So really, it's going to be like 1 times x to the 3rd power in the denominator, but we know that 1 times anything is itself. So this is just going to become b squared over x cubed as our final answer. So just to recap, anytime you're simplifying expressions with negative exponents, we have to identify, is the negative exponent term in the numerator or the denominator? And if it's in the numerator, we are going to move the power to the denominator. Don't forget to make that exponent positive. If the negative exponent is in the denominator, we move that power to the numerator. And remember to make the exponent positive when you do that. All right, don't forget to check out today's assignment and use that to show your learning today. I believe there's about 7 questions to complete. Good luck. Let me know if you need any help.